The talk this morning is about mixed messages. And mixed messages is this catchphrase. You hear it. People usually talking about relationships, and often it is mixed messages that are interpreted or misinterpreted through texting. Mixed message, somebody texts, "Tonight was fun." And it's interpreted as, what, no adjective? Not lots of fun? Not tremendous fun? Not the most fun I've ever had? Just tonight was fun? It must have been awful. Must have been horrible. How could we know? It's like, and then, craters. Or the same message can be interpreted as tonight was fun. This was great. It was fun. Oh, this is a lifetime relationship. We're going to get married, and it can go in either direction. But mixed messages show up in a lot of different ways. Like, would you like dessert? Oh, I shouldn't. Well, does that mean that you would like dessert or not? And I have seen, well, I shouldn't lead to somebody eating dessert and also lead to somebody not eating dessert. And the mixed message is, what do we really mean? What is the actual answer to the actual question? And get the rest of the fluff out of the way. There's some things that we are that we learn that are mixed messages that actually are not true. Like, boys don't cry. Well, you know what? Boys do cry. And there's a whole lot of unpacking that we get to do as we go through our lives and have loss and grieve them, where unlearning that erroneous message that boys don't cry lets us have the opportunity to connect with our feelings more deeply and more profoundly, and perhaps there's some crying along the way. He said no, or she said no, but really meant yes. It's like, unfortunately, there is some, trying to guess the visual and the social cues together with the word cues, and that's actually taken a huge change in the last number of years, because we get to be more clear about what we mean, and when we say yes or no, we can mean yes or no. And mixed messages are, a lot of times they're with other people, but a lot of times they're within ourselves, where we want to experience something, but we believe we're going to experience something different, and the mixed message that we're sending is creating the experience not that we want, but the one that we believe in. So I have mentioned once or twice before that the universe only has one answer. The creative power that creates everything only has one answer, and you probably remember what that answer is. So I wrote it down for you. In fact, we're going to keep it nearby for this morning, because there's only the one answer. The answer is going to be yes. So when we are setting a clear intention and getting our conflicting emotions or messages out of the way, the creative law that creates everything is going to say yes. It always says yes. And if we have an experience that we want to be having, and we're having a different experience, it's because the intention that we're setting is getting a yes to something that's not exactly what we would prefer. So we get to get out of our own way. Now, you can say, oh, well, that means that if I'm having an experience of my life that I don't like, that it's my fault. You could say that. It's not necessarily accurate. You're not to blame. You are simply creating something. It's like getting a blank piece of paper and drawing a house on it. And if you don't draw the house that you want to live in, then when the house gets built, you could blame the builders. You could say, oh, that design needs to change. There's something in there that I didn't understand, so you get to maybe go back and redesign or rework it. And in a lot of cases, we don't have to go through the entire process of building a house to realize that we're going to actually want to put a door on it. Maybe we'll learn to make that part of the design process. So as we get earlier and earlier in the process of creating our lives, we can create that which we really want to be experiencing. So I'm involved with the affiliated New Thought Network, Anton, and as you know, the fall retreat is coming up soon. Sorry, I just inspired myself. And Jerry Troyer, Reverend Jerry, who is the president of Anton, when he started his term, he made the claim that we're going to say what we mean and mean what we say. and is remarkably powerful and ridiculously simple, because there are a lot of cases where people say something other than what they mean and mean something different than what they say, where the words are not in complete alignment with the truth or the intention or the desire that's behind them. Don Miguel Ruiz says we should be impeccable with our word, because our word is creative, because our word is what is going to be creating our next experience. We should be very precisely impeccable with our word. And impeccability with our word is the opposite of a mixed message. That is a complete clarity of message. And there are a lot of reasons that people are not impeccable with their word. Some of it's politeness, because you want to say something that's just the plain blunt truth, because that might offend somebody, might hurt their feelings, might upset them, might annoy them, might drive them away, might put a wedge into the friendship. When somebody wants to offer you something that they consider to be wonderful and you really would rather not accept it, then you need to just say, no, that sucks. You don't want to do that, because that might cause more trouble than you want to be creating. So in some cases, we're polite, and we kind of fuzz the edges about what it is that we really want. Sometimes it's spin, where something's going on, and we want to convince somebody that it's not exactly what they think it is, and so we try and reposition the information or cast it in a different light. That elevated a little bit becomes hype, where we're just emphasizing the part of something that we want somebody else to believe. I'm using the first person there, I and we, because I've done this before. I try not to, because I've been, go back to being impeccable with your word. That's really what I'm looking for, because I know that yes is coming. I was involved in marketing and advertising for a long time. At its best, that's telling the part of the truth that conveys the product or the service or whatever it is that we're talking about in the best light. At its worst, it's hiding the stuff that we would rather not have people notice, so that they'll do what we want. And I think at the top of the scale, when we are being less than impeccable with our word, the word to use for that is lying. There are some times that people will mean one thing and say exactly the opposite because they want somebody else to believe that their intentions are other than what they are. There are subtle ways that we have mixed messages showing up in our lives. You can ask a question and get an answer to a different question. Now, when I say that generically, some people say, well, I don't know what you're talking about with that. But, when you say to somebody, what do you want to have for lunch? And they say, well, I don't want to have egg salad. How do we get to yes for that? I mean, are you going to list everything that you don't want for lunch so we can rule out all of the choices in an infinite universe so we can settle down to what we're going to have for lunch? Or can we just get ourselves out of the way a little bit and open up to that insight, to that guidance, to what would I like to have for lunch? What are of the possibilities that are open and available to me right now? Which ones would be most fulfilling? And go through that process, and we can lead towards a yes. What we want to do is get to yes. Because, by the way, the answer is always going to be yes. The infinite creative power that creates everything is always saying yes. Every Sunday morning we start with basically the one thing that we all agree that we believe at New Thought Philadelphia and through the New Thought movement. And it's, by the way, not required that you believe anything. We will welcome you along if you like to meet with fun people and listen to the music. The one that we agree on is we believe that there's one power, love, intelligence that creates everything, including us, and that we are each using that same power, love, intelligence to create our lives according to our beliefs. Whittled down, it's done to you as you believe. As you believe. And the belief is what's going to be getting the yes. As I was thinking about this talk, I realized that if you go to asyouBelieve.com on the internet, with hyphens in it, as-u-believe, where you land is the New Thought Philadelphia homepage. Because it's pretty core to what we believe around here. And if you don't believe that, or if you object to that in any way, it's not like you have to leave the group. We'll find out what it means to you. What is that creative process that's leading to a yes? And what else could it possibly mean? I'm delighted to have the dialogue about that. That's why we do classes. That's why we have conversations. That's why we're doing the meditations. It's because we want to understand where we are and what the clarity of message is that it's going to bring a new experience into our lives. That's why I love prayer work stories. Because when somebody puts him or herself onto that spiritual path where we're opening more fully to that creative power that's going to say yes, we're able to be more intentional about what it is that we're inviting, what sort of an experience we want to be having, and clear the disbelief and the confusion out of the way, so that when the yes shows up, it's in alignment with what we desire. If what I want to do is live in prosperity and have wonderful financial freedom, but I grew up believing that I can't do what I enjoy doing and be well paid for it, that there's a trade-off, that there has to be a trade-off in there someplace. I either do what I like doing or I make a lot of money. Then I can be judgmental about people who have a lot of money because obviously they're, in my belief system, they're not doing, what they really love doing. Or I can clear out that false belief and understand that, yes, I can do both. I can be generously compensated for doing exactly that which I love doing. Of course, that's possible. And we've seen a whole lot of people who are doing it. Almost everybody in the entertainment business got into the entertainment business because they had something creative that they wanted to be doing, something that they wanted to sing or say or do. And they got famous and then rich, usually in that order, doing it. So we know it's possible. There are role models to show us that it's possible. There are people who we run into on a regular basis who are clearly enjoying the work that they're doing, the way that they're sharing their gifts and talents and skills and abilities with people around them, and getting paid nicely. So that's not to say that you need to be making a lot of money. That simply means that if you have a desire to be making a different amount of money than you have, or a different experience of prosperity, it's not the amount of money. If you take your expenses in living and you subtract your income from it, if there's something left over, then that's an experience of flexibility and prosperity. And if there's not, if the numbers don't add up, then that's where the challenge and the struggles come in financially. So, maybe it's about making more money, maybe it's about having lower expenses, maybe it's about bringing the pieces into alignment in a different way. But that's always what it is. It's always about bringing the pieces into alignment. We're closing on 8 billion people on the planet. Obviously, there is somebody who you could be in a loving, committed relationship with you. And if you think that you want to have a loving, committed relationship and there's nobody out there, there's something else going on. There's something else going on. People say, I really want to have somebody to share my life with. And the first question I ask them is there room in your closet for their clothes? Is there room in your dresser for them to store their stuff? Do you really want to have somebody else who's using up half the space in your place all the time? And sometimes it's, well, no, the closets are full. Okay, what's it going to take for you to clear out enough closet space for him or her to move their stuff in? Because if you're not serious about it, it's not going to happen. What they're saying by that is, I want to say that I want to have the relationship, but I don't actually want to take the steps to have it. Because you can have it. The answer is going to be yes. The answer is always yes. So that's the opportunity that we have for now. What is it that you want to get a yes to? And what is it that might be standing in the way of getting the yes that you want? Because you're getting a yes. You might just not be getting the yes that you're looking for. And there's a wonderful process that you get to go through in order to understand how to open yourself to a different yes. Because we all have our own belief system. And some of it we're very much aware of, and some of it is hidden, and some of it is secret, and some of it came from people who we've never met because that's the way it's always been. And that's why we have practitioners. And yes, this is a little bit of a plug for our practitioner interns. Because a practitioner spends years learning how to do practical prayer, healing prayer for somebody else. And they learn how to have an engagement with that person to find out. You go to a practitioner and you say, this is the experience that I want to be having, and this is the experience that I've been having. And they'll help you dive into what's different. What is the hidden belief that we have that we can't have at all? I was with a client. This is a couple of years ago, and this person was living in a feast or famine. There's lots of money, fabulous job, plenty of riches, and then it would all go away, and then it turned into scarcity and struggle and problem. And we discussed it, and the childhood experience was that's what the family of origin did. And it was the real estate business. It was, we're going to have surf and turf when we have a closing, and if there's not a closing, then it's going to be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and hopefully we have enough to make those happen. So the understanding we had was that this was not a failure. This was a spectacular success. This was executing perfectly on a bad program. And not even a bad program, just not the program that was desired. So as soon as we got to the point of realizing that the underlying belief that the program was wrong, we got to replace the program, and the yes then became for prosperity and for smoothness and for unfolding. And the person is doing that fabulously well, really in a lovely balanced place with prosperity, and the gifts continue to show up, doing things that are enjoyable and being compensated for them. That sort of thing is possible. So wherever the block is in your life, contact one of our practitioner interns. And I'm going to just plug for the practitioner interns, because in order to finish their training, they need to do practitioner sessions for folks like you, and then they need to have a case study where it actually needs to work. So you get to basically make a recommendation. Yes, I got together with Carolyn or Jesus or Bobby or Courtney, and this is what we prayed for, and this is how the result that came about in my life. And then they get to be full-fledged practitioners, and you get the session for free. And we will put contact information for the practitioners into the chat so that you have that as well. So it is done unto you as you believe. The answer is always going to be yes. And, oh, by the way, there's one other answer that's all the time during the pandemic, which is you're muted. But in the big picture, the answer is always yes. So remember that. Allow your yes to be to that which you are desiring, whatever it is that you're seeking. It's seeking you. So invite it in. Open up to it. Let that be. You deserve all the good. Yes, so it is.